Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. We are so excited to talk to you about how to manage a complex conference, specifically going behind the scenes at Cvent's annual user conference, Cvent Connect. For those of you who are not familiar with Cvent Connect, you'll learn a whole lot today and hopefully take some great tidbits away. Before we do jump into the content and bring my co-speakers onto the stage here, want to make sure to keep you familiar with our webinar solution. If you're not familiar with Cvent Webinar, that is the platform that you are using today. On the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see what we call the engagement bar. There's chat, Q&A, polls. What else we got over there today? Call to action, resources, details. We will definitely be active in the chat today, so please jump in, drop us your comments, send us any questions. Official Q&A bar, put that Q&A into the Q&A, second tab down. We will absolutely be saving some time for questions today, so ask us your questions and we'll keep an eye out for those. With that, I want to welcome to the stage my fellow co-presenters. I don't think I even introduced myself. My name is Julie Haddix. I am the Senior Director of Solutions and Customer Marketing here at Cvent. And my job with our conferences is to work on the content and the agenda. So I am the lead content strategist when it comes to Cvent Connect US. But my day-to-day role also involves overseeing and managing our industry marketing team, as well as our customer marketing team. So love bringing all of that together through our conference on a regular basis. Joining me today are two of our meeting and event team members that I work with on an absolute daily basis. First off being my co-partner in crime, Rachel Andrews, who is our Senior Director of Meetings and Events, head of Cvent's event team. Rachel, you want to introduce yourself?
What is up, party people? My name is Rachel. If I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you at one of our events, I manage Cvent's global meetings team. We are about 35 strong globally and do a ton of events, including Cvent Connect US and Cvent Connect Europe. But excited to be here, talk you through all the ways we design Cvent Connect, and excited for a fun webinar today.
All right, and to round our group out today, we have Dara Berg, who leads our event marketing strategy. Dara, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, y'all. Yes, I lead our event marketing for Cvent Connect. I do everything from pre-event promotion through the attendee communication journey. So any communication that you receive about Cvent Connect, it's coming from me and my team. So happy to see you guys and excited to talk through today.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we dive into how to plan a successful conference, let's just real quick level set on what are we using today as our definition of a complex conference. You know, everybody out there could have their own definition, but really we're talking about those events that are larger. They're meant to promote brand awareness. Oftentimes they're about maintaining or creating market-leading position. You're delivering thought leadership in addition to product knowledge. You're trying to drive revenue, engage customers. They could be anything from a user conference, a world tour, an advisory conference, an investor meeting, a convention, a congress. Take a whole bunch of different names. We're talking about a large event, though, typically over those 1,200 attendees, multiple different attendee types, lots of sessions, multi-day, multi-track. So that's kind of the context through which we will be talking today. Of course, if you're here and your conference doesn't necessarily meet all of these attributes, by all means, there are some learnings and lessons here today, but we are really wanting to come at this through the lens, through those ultra complex. So we're going to share that through the lens of Cvent Connect, which is our annual user conference. You've heard those words come out of our mouths already a few times. So Rachel, could you give everybody just a quick overview of Cvent Connect for us?
Yeah, let's dive in. So this is just a snapshot of what our event looks like. Like I mentioned, we have Cvent Connect US and Cvent Connect Europe. Cvent Connect US typically happens anytime between May and July, depending on availability. And then Cvent Connect Europe usually happens sometime in October or November. So yeah, for Cvent Connect US, we'll be focusing on that one this year because we have 2 marquee conferences, but we'll be focusing on the Connect US one. We have over 6,000 hybrid attendees. I'll get into that event design in a few slides, but as you can see, we have a lot of different things going on over the 3.5 days. A lot of time and effort is kind of put into making this great for the industry. You know, one of the things that I love about planning is we get to plan events for the events industry, which is, I think, the best industry to work in. But, you know, it comes with its own unique challenges. We're, you know, an event tech company using our own event tech, and we'll talk about that today too. We also bring the ecosystem together, which is also really cool. So I'm going to go into a little bit more here with kind of how we define our business objectives. As I mentioned, it is a user conference, but it's also equal parts industry event. I think it's really fun to plan events for event profs. It's pretty meta for me, but planning events for the events industry is super fun. We get to test things and do some cool stuff, but for me and what Cvent kind of stands to gain from hosting, we obviously have multiple business objectives that go into Cvent Connect. You know, first and foremost, increasing our business, obviously, our lead pipeline and conversion. We also have a ton of customers, so we want to make sure that they're staying engaged and we're retaining them, but they're also learning our platform and learning new ways to innovate with their own events program. And then obviously brand awareness. For the US, you know, we have significant brand awareness, but we're also always adding to our platform. So our brand is ever evolving. So that's a huge business objective for us. As far as attendee objectives go, you know, we have a lot of training that happens. Obviously, when technology evolves as fast as it does, we have to train people constantly on how to use it. So that is where the user conference part comes into Cvent Connect. And of course, we have 75% of our audience is actually our existing customers. So a lot of what we try to do is make sure that those customers are satisfied. We do a lot of listening sessions. We do a lot of content geared towards people that have maybe been customers for a long time versus new customers. But you know, we try to do that in order to retain and keep people happy. We have a lot of insights that come out of our using our own technology. So that we'll cover in a few slides, but that's a cool way that we're using our tech that helps our customers, helps our attendees, and helps us make our events better. And then finally, the industry connections piece. We have a Cvent Connect trade show where we bring the ecosystem together of our hospitality side of the house and our event side of the house. So it's important for us to bring everybody together to talk and evolve together. As far as conference programming, you know, you can kind of see on the right-hand side, we do a lot. We, like any user or industry conference, we kind of run the gamut here. We have obviously general sessions, breakouts, a lot of networking opportunities. Like I mentioned, the trade show, we do our customer advisory boards, a ton of sponsored activities. We do a lot of activations to give you ideas for your customer programs or your events so you can bring that back to your companies. So we do a ton of stuff, but in order to kind of maintain our leading position in the industry, we always also try to attract new organizations into the Cvent brand. So we like to, with our content, Julie will cover, bring in a ton of big name speakers in our industry, but also outside to make sure that people are coming and don't experience FOMO. So enough of me talking about Cvent Connect. I feel like we need to show them a video and take a quick peek of kind of the energy of the event. So take a look at this. All right, I'm going to pass it to Julie.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So now that you kind of have a level set of what we're talking about when we say the word Cvent Connect, we're going to break down how we go about planning our large complex conference into 4 different buckets today. First, Rachel is going to give you an overview of the team that is involved with the conference. We'll then talk to you about how we think of things pre-event. What are our business objectives? How do we come up with our content strategy, our production strategy? How do we drive attendance? Then we'll get into the on-site during event. What is it that we're doing? How are we engaging our attendees? How are we really ensuring that we provide that successful event during and on-site? And then post-event, what is the analysis that we look at? How do we showcase the value to our stakeholders and really come to bringing that full together? So back to you now, Rachel, to talk about the team.
Woohoo! My favorite subject. I have such an awesome team. I love bragging about them. We do tons and tons of events. As you can see, we plan about 800 events a year. And I'll go through those in 1 second. But, Cvent Connect is our conference, but it also takes, a village to plan it, like Julie said. I want to give a shout out to the teams that also help do Cvent Connect with us. We obviously have our US and UK teams that support Cvent Connect US and Europe, as well as our India team that helps support a lot of our programs. But as far as our team goes, with 13 folks spread across 3 different pillars, and we're executing on a ton of stuff. Yes, Cvent Connect is our, flagship event. We spend a ton of time. We're in the trenches now, being only a few weeks out from Cvent Connect. So, it's hard to keep your head on straight, but we are doing a ton of other events. So as far as how we support those events, we break our team up into 3 pillars. I have my event design and execution team. These are your project managers, event planners, folks that are doing all of the logistics, sourcing. They're helping with sponsorship enablement. They're really the ones that bring kind of the event design to life for Cvent Connect and a lot of our other programs. We also have our event marketing and analytics team, which Dara is on. They are awesome. They are some of our most creative people. They're bringing in a ton of moving parts. They're working with a ton of people throughout marketing to bring an entire campaign to market. And, they work mostly on our tier 1 programs and some of our tier 2 events that you can see up here in the program mix. But they really, they align our program. Our programs they help with our audience generation. They're really like the broader output of the event, and they help us get and meet our goals of what we want to do there. Dara's doing a lot of great work. She's going to cover later on some of our verticalization, some of how she works on the sales enablement side. It takes an army to get people sometimes registered. It's not all email campaigns. So there's a lot of other things in the mix, including social campaigns and sales enablement being the biggest 2. And then third, and definitely not last, is our event tech and operations team. This is just the US view. We have a larger event tech operations team in India, but these folks focus on drinking our own champagne, right? We use Cvent for everything, but they also focus on our total MarTech stack, and what we've integrated with our Cvent platform. So they look at like what's going to really work within our total event program, and what technology makes the most sense per program. But they are like our little heroes behind the scenes. They help build, our attendee hubs. They help build our reg pages and our websites, and really just make sure that everything is seamless for all of our attendees. But of course, like I said, it takes a village. Julie's going to cover the rest of the village that we work with within marketing. There's a lot of them, and they're all awesome. So Julie, take it away.
Of this village that brings Cvent Connect to life. Rachel just went through her event planning team. Of course, they are core pillars of the village of bringing a complex conference to life, but we can't do it alone. You see in the middle of this slide, the marketing strategy. This is where my group lives with product marketing, customer marketing, and our demand generations team are really extended arms of the planning team to bring the conference to life. And of course, our operations teams, marketing operations, our creative team, content marketing, corporate communications. For us, a complex conference is really an entire marketing team effort. Almost everybody in the department has a role, and we all know what that is to really help bring, we call it our Super Bowl, to life every year. But marketing can't plan a complex conference by themselves. And I do think that while the relationships within marketing are crucial to event success, so are the relationships with other key departments, whether that be your IT team, your product team, your project management or operations offices, the sales teams and client services teams, those other go-to-market teams are so essential so that you are all working together to drive customers, to drive products, to bring the latest product information to life. Really getting the entire organization rallied around your complex conference is crucial to its success. So love this group. This is our team. And now we are going to jump into our pre-event strategy for bringing Cvent Connect and any complex conference to life. Back to you, Rachel.
Sweet. All right. So next slide here, we are going into kind of our pre-event design. Event design at the basic level. What kind of conference are you going to have? For us, we have decided that our conference is going to be a hybrid experience. For us, we've looked at data from other hybrid events that we've hosted, and we've looked at the budget and made sure it works. Obviously, sometimes that can be a concern. But for us, with how many people we're reaching, and given that it's our largest marketing campaign of the year, we designed for a hybrid experience. So our conference is a global reach effort. And one of the things that I like about this is that if you can attend, you can always attend in the virtual experience, especially with everything going on in the world now and how busy we are doing my arch nemesis saying of do more with less. I cannot stand it, but I think we're all being told that. Some of that helps us, being able to attend something virtually if you can't make it in person is, I think, a very important piece of our brand for this conference. So we know that hybrid events, our audiences definitely have different drivers for attending those events. And let's kind of dig into what those drivers are. So for in-person, for example, sorry, I'm loading here. So at the kind of basic level, we're differentiating the programming offered for the attendee experience in person and then virtual. So I'm going to cover in person first. As far as our goals for the in-person attendee drivers, people we're learning a lot about return on relationships. We talked about that in some of our trend podcasts that we came out with, but people want to go to events because they want to continue their relationships. That is one of the number one drivers that we're seeing. People want to network. They want to see their friends. They want to talk strategy with people in the industry. Some people are the only planners at their organization. They need and they crave to be around other people. So that's, I think, the first thing. And then obviously learning. Learning is a big piece. Julie's team puts together an amazing agenda alongside my team. And a lot of it is to help them in their events programs. And we focus on case studies to make sure that you can actually take back. It's not just spitting out a lot of sales jargon. It's let's tell them exactly how other people have succeeded and bring that back to their own organizations. That's super important to us because we know it's important to the attendees. And then other drivers are travel, obviously fear of missing out because the events you hear from other people are epic and you don't want to miss it, or you don't want to miss seeing your peeps in the industry. We try to provide some sensory immersive experiences so people get other ideas. So it's not just breakouts all day and you're not dying of boredom. And then, we try to have more of VIP exclusive access that also drives people to come. And a lot of times when you're evaluating going to an event, the location obviously factors in quite significantly to that. So designing for virtual, one of the things that I look at is, like I said at the beginning, some people can't travel. Some people don't have it in their budget, but so we also try to design for virtual so that folks that, or maybe one person from your team is going and the rest want to come virtually. Some of these drivers for us is maybe they're not as tied into your brand. Maybe they just want to see 1 or 2 sessions. So we make that accessible to people. Again, budget is a concern. Time savings. Maybe you don't have time to take 3 days out of your busy schedule to come, but you can watch for a day virtually. And then learning with intent, obviously, like I said, everybody wants to learn and better themselves in their career. So we try to make some dynamic digital sessions. We try to make it interactive online with different chats. You can see our accessibility bar that we're using here. We try to do that at, within our virtual experience. And then the last one that's not on here that I will talk about is accessibility. Like some people are not able to travel or potentially, have like to experience learning in different ways. So accessibility is a big piece of why we provide that virtual experience. And then of course the shared digital experience between the two of them. I think, everybody is kind of experiencing a lot of the content together, both online. It's kind of what ties the two audiences together. We also do like Cvent Connect TV, so the virtual audience can see what's happening at the event, so that they don't feel as much FOMO if they can't come on site, but they also get a great behind the scenes view into whether it's like a behind the scenes production tour, behind the scenes tech tour that we're giving. We try to bring a lot of that to our attendees. This year, we're trying to do more interviews with some of our experts so that virtual people get that sense, or if they weren't able to interact with the speaker after the session, maybe they can do that there. So it's just some cool ways we're doing that event design. As far as the in-person, let's talk about the actual event design here. We talked about the business goals before, our business objectives. We've outlined already our retention expansion within our customer portfolio, and then obviously our net new customers, but hopefully, fingers crossed, right? We also negotiate contractually, and we have to do a lot of projections when it comes to, I know there's some questions in the chat that you guys mentioned about like, how are you navigating budget? A lot of that factors in at the beginning stages of contracting and venue sourcing within the city. With an event this big, we're a citywide format, so we're taking over a huge portion of the Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. It's not the whole convention center because their convention center is huge, but we're taking over half of it. And so for that, we have to bake into our contracts, food and beverage minimums, room night minimums that we have to hit in the city. We have to hit a certain number of room nights within the city in order to make sure that the event is successful for the city, but also for us. Like obviously we have our own attendee projection goals. And then that also that goes into how we carve out the space. You can see on the left, we put our floor plan here, and of course we factor in the attendee experience is number one, first and foremost, all the time for me and my brain, like from registration all the way to post-event. What does that look like and what the attendee drivers are? So I just went through the attendee drivers for in-person. And for me, when we're looking at the in-person drivers, we're taking all of our event feedback and attendance drivers, and we're baking that into what the floor plan looks like. This floor plan will be very similar to what we did last year if you attended Cvent Connect, because it worked really well. For us, like the basic tenets of our setup are, general session to kind of inspire and rally folks together, and share some of our big product announcements and obviously our fun keynotes. We have meals where people can interact. We're doing a lot of meetups and sort of networky type meal things this year. We have our trade show, like I mentioned, where we bring our ecosystem together, all kind of on floor one. On floor two, we have a lot of our customer programs, our smaller kind of networking experiences or our VIP experiences, where we bring together folks that maybe have been with Cvent for a long time and want to give a lot of feedback, or different verticals that want to meet up, that want to talk about pharma, or they want to talk about what's going on with macroeconomics, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I just keep telling people, just attend so we can all talk about how to navigate this together. Things like that in the VIP experience, like obviously factor into our attendee experience. And then production design, I didn't talk about this too in depth. We have on other webinars, but we have a lot of different types of formats for production. Especially when we're incorporating the virtual audience into it, and then we have a lot of interactive ways to do production. We have, panels, we have live speakers, we have, people interacting with each other in this, and we have workshops. So all of that plays into our production strategy and what fits into what kind of format or what room. We have a ton of breakouts on the 3rd floor. And last but not least, we have our innovation pavilion, which is our way of showcasing all of our products, all of our partners, and all of our one-on-one space, so that you can network and you can talk to other people. That's like always the number one thing that people want: more networking, more networking, more networking. And it's like, okay, how do we do this continuously every year and allow for the time and the space for that? And a lot of we're working in even more networking this year, because that is literally the number one thing people want to do when they come to this conference. So it's important for us. And then, of course, we'll get into some of these later, but vendor sourcing for the conference, we work with, like every other planner, we work with a contractor, an AV production provider is the biggest two. We obviously work very closely with the city. And then there's a ton of other smaller vendors that we work with. A lot of work goes into that, making sure we have the right partners, the right providers to bring this experience to life. And then we do event diagramming. We use our seating platform, which, we have to assign seats or assign tables to some of our VIP programs. So we use that. And then finally, we do a lot of internal kind of resourcing. We send a lot of Cvent people to our conference. So there's, we've heard sales enablement mentioned. We do a lot of employee enablement, because our staff on site is Cvent. And so we have to use our own staffing to collaborate, our staffing platforms within our one-on-one tools to collaborate. So there's a lot that goes into kind of the design for in-person. I could go on for like probably an hour within each of these different bullets, but there's a ton that goes into that. Moving on to kind of our hotel contracts. I mentioned we're a citywide format. We have 20 plus hotels, which is very fun to manage. It requires a lot of work. And we use a housing company. Currently, we're using Orchid to help us manage all of our contracts. With all of that comes a ton of contracting, one, and then two, obviously invoicing and room block setup. And we manage all of that through Passkey, so that we can enable our attendees to book directly in there. But as far as when I'm contracting all of these hotels, obviously I'd like to contract less hotels in the citywide, but sometimes that's not either an option because they have other events going on in the city, or it just depends on the city, honestly, as far as how big the hotels are. But I look at a couple different things. I look at the brand, I look at the partnerships that they're offering. I look at the walkability to the conference center. I try to keep all of our hotels under a mile. To walk there, or offer shuttles if it's over half a mile or over a mile from an accessibility standpoint. And then I look at the number of rooms they have. Obviously, the smaller the hotel, the more hotels you're adding to your block, et cetera. But yeah, there's a ton of partnership ways you can think about this. I think for me, thinking about the attendee experience is a big piece of this, like walkability, making sure they know how to get there, working with the hotels to make sure the hotels know that Cvent Connect is coming to their property. And San Antonio did a great job last year, and I know they're going to do a great job this year of just like welcoming people in the lobby, getting people excited to come to the program, et cetera. So it's awesome. All right. And then finally, the event design for virtual. So with virtual, the venue is technology. It is that's one thing that's great. You don't really need to contract other than your event tech platform, but then designing for that experience for attendees so that they can see what sessions are streamed live. They can see the different kind of exciting things that are happening next. They can interact with other virtual attendees. I don't think it should be an afterthought. It should be kind of baked in from the beginning. I think one of the things that I said earlier that is great about virtual is the accessibility of this, both from people that can't fly, but also or don't have the budget to attend, but also from a after the event standpoint, right? Post-event, you can watch a lot of the content on demand, revisit it, download resources or PowerPoints that were presented, all in this one hub. So there's just a lot that goes into the virtual experience here, and we want to make sure that the different verticals. So for example, if you're a pharma person coming into our virtual space, you can sort by the different data tags, or if you're a planner looking for this topic, there's easy ways to sort through that and see what's next. That's kind of like some of the features that I like using significantly. And then we can take all those engagements from those virtual participants and follow up later and say, okay, this person was really, really into AI or really into whatever, and we can follow up with that, or follow up with session summaries for them so that they can really retain the information and use it back to their attendee format. Okay, wow, I talked for a long time. I'm going to pass it over to the event marketing team to talk through how we promote this event and how we get people there.
Yeah, but in the interest of time, so we can cover a lot of content, Dara, kick it straight to you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited to talk about event marketing. This is my favorite thing, and I get very nerdy about this stuff. So if you guys have questions, I already saw a lot of you guys engaging in the chat, so thank you so much for putting in your questions. Keep putting in questions as we go. Julie, Rachel, and I are all in the chat answering, or you can feel free to put it in the Q&A as well. But especially if you have anything about event marketing, I would love to talk to you about it more. So put it in the chat as I'm going. But to give you a little bit of insight into how we structure our event marketing, obviously we have a lot of parts and pieces to this event, as Rachel was talking through earlier. We have a lot of different personas and program areas that we target with our event marketing and with our overall structure for our event. So we want to make sure that that flow and that personalization goes from the beginning to the end of the event. So they have a really personalized experience from when we first email them or reach out to them to their on-site experience, that they experience that same level of this content is personalized for me. This is no longer it's no longer acceptable to just have one generic message that goes to everyone. People really want to feel like the event is made for them. So something really important to us this year that we did was we made sure that we had these segments, these target audiences put together as we're going through a registration process that help us define what type of person is coming through our event. So we have this question up here that will let people self-select their different interests. And what this will do is it will allow us to market to these different groups the sessions that they might be interested in, or what types of things that they would like to learn. So the interesting thing here is that some folks fall into more than one bucket. So for example, maybe they are a marketer at a third-party planning agency. So they're going to be interested in a lot of different tracks, but something like segments in the back end of our registration really helps us be able to organize all of the interests of a single person. So for example, if there's a CVB that attends, maybe they're both a sponsor and they're going to attend some sessions, and they might also be interested in some of the networking opportunities. So we want to get all of that information in the upfront registration to make sure that we can accurately market to them afterwards. So a couple of the things that you can do to personalize are things like push notifications, emails, and then one really cool thing that we've done this year is update the banners within our Attendee Hub website so that when people log in, that they can then have a personalized banner for them. So I know some people mentioned that they're hosting either like a VIP event, or a smaller in-person meeting series. Something like that, it might be really cool. Like for example, our Leadership Summit, we have a banner at the top for all of our Leadership Summit attendees because we've sorted them into a Leadership Summit segment, which means that when they go in, it's a super hyper personalized experience for them and just makes it feel like we know exactly what they're attending and interested in. If you're trying to figure out, what segments should I target, this is the template that I use to figure out what personas should attend Cvent Connect. So I sit down every year at the beginning of the year and meet with my stakeholders, Rachel, Julie, who are on this call, and others, to make sure that we're targeting the groups that are most important to our company's business objectives. And what we do is we go by persona. Who are we getting to attend Connect, why they should use our product, what their needs are, what are their motivations and goals. I fill out this chart for each and every one of our audience personas based on what our business priorities are. And then I use this to help build out our reg process, our marketing campaign planning, and then make sure that this is just standard across all of our messaging. So it really helps to have this document just to make sure that you have a brief throughout the year of who you're targeting and how you want to reach them. So I think that template is also available in the resources section, so feel free to access that at any time. And I will quickly cover just 2 of the different sales and outreach tactics that we use. So as Rachel said, it's not just about sending emails. One of our biggest levers that we pull to promote our conference is our sales team. So one of the things that our team does is work on internal enablement resources. So these are things that help our sales team know how to sell the event and to better promote the event. So just a couple of the ideas that we have up here that you can feel free to steal or copy for your own event. We have a promo video, which you actually just saw earlier in the recording, but the video you can put, my favorite thing to do with this is to put it in your Zoom waiting room. And then when your sales team goes to have a meeting, that plays first thing in the Zoom waiting room. Just a really cool experience to get people sort of passively interested in your event. Then, of course, we have a classic one-pager. I think everyone makes these for their events, but just something quick and easy that people can reference or send to clients. A Zoom background is also a great one just to kind of passively amplify. And then my favorite thing that we create for our sales team are these attendee guides. And these are really multi-purpose. They're both for our internal teams and for external promotion. But what they do is create that really curated experience that I talked about earlier, looking at our target personas and then saying, okay, here's a testimonial that's relevant to you. Here's logos of other groups that are attending that are in your field. Here's all the different programming that you'll be interested in. Here's the sessions that you'll be interested in. It's a very hyper-personal experience, and it's both a enablement material for our attendees, but also it helps educate our sales team. Okay, these are the most important value props I should bring up to this customer. And as the slide said, about 50% of our registrations are generated by Cvent sales for in-person and virtual. So they're definitely a huge component of our marketing plan. Then on the external promotion front, we do a bunch of different things. As Rachel mentioned, there's all sorts of different parts and pieces that go into this, but I will highlight just a few of our biggest channels. A lot of people ask, what's your top marketing channel for promoting? And I would definitely say email and paid social are our 2 biggest. So those are the ones on the right. But I definitely think in this day and age, organic social and that sort of referral marketing and getting people to get excited about your event on social is more important than ever. People are much less likely to trust a marketing email. They're more likely to trust a peer or seeing someone they reshare on social media because it's more relatable to them and more authentic. So we have been really experimenting this year with doing a lot more on organic. So we tapped into the classic AI generated trend. I don't know, did anybody else make those little dolls? I had so much fun with that. So we did the doll trend with AI on social media, and it was a huge hit. So if you made one, would love to see it. Another small piece that is not so small is SEO. So this is a small detail that I wanted to bring up because sometimes the SEO for your event can make a huge difference. If someone is Googling your event and they don't find your event as the first thing in Google, that is a major red flag, and it has happened to us before. Okay, we are equally guilty of this. About 3 years ago, our SEO was not great, and whenever somebody Googled our event, it would show old events first. So SEO has become a big priority for us to make sure that that's front and center. And the nice thing is if you really master SEO, you don't then have to pay as much for paid search, which just saves you costs in the long run. And then one more thing we tried this year that I'm really excited about is we have a new gifting campaign. So we're sending these customized Texas-themed gift boxes to some of our VIP attendees. I think this is just another really fun way to activate that sort of influencer moment that I was talking about earlier and get people organically excited. So with that, I think I'm passing it back to Julie to talk about event content.
Yes. So now we are going to jump into our during event. Of course, so much of the event programming and content strategy takes place before the event. And it really flows out of that event marketing audience strategy that Dara was talking about. We take, my team works with her so closely on that audience strategy of who we're trying to attract for the event. And that also goes into the content and programming that we are trying to create. So the content strategy and the campaign strategy are completely interlocked. We're thinking about the same audiences, attracting the same groups, and really making sure we know which sessions are meant to speak to which audiences and that we're really in lockstep. And then as I get into post-event, we'll talk about the data side of our content strategy as well. This is a screenshot of just our, what I would call agenda at a glance. I know it's probably a little small and hard to read, but what I saw, one of the questions that has been submitted, and I think it was from Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca. How do you determine the right mix of keynotes, breakouts, and networking sessions? So this is something that we do focus in on, but we also have kind of standardized our keynote strategy. We look at the feedback and data every year and talk about refining. We've got some things we probably do want to play around with in the future, but what we know as far as we think of our keynotes as our anchor content. We know that we always are going to have one keynote that is our CEO, one keynote that is our product management team delivering our roadmap. We know we're going to have an anchor celebrity keynote that really keeps people and draws them in. And then we think about what is, based on each year, the right keynote strategy for 1 to 2 other general sessions. As Rachel mentioned earlier, we're also watching so closely in our feedback the desire for more networking. So I would say over the years, the biggest evolution of this agenda at a glance has been the addition of more and more networking programming. We are this year reducing the number of breakout sessions that we have, the different number of breakout time blocks. And that is purposely to give more time for those informal, open opportunities to network informally, wander around the conference, engage in our innovation pavilion, engage in our trade show. So that's what we are looking at. And we made that decision based on the data. We really did look and see where people were at any given time. We noticed at one point that we had about a third of planners, maybe it was even a fourth, in breakout sessions when we really wanted them to be in the trade show. So we actually cut that session block because we wanted to make the space and reduce the conflicting content of where we want people to be. So we are watching the data and making decisions based on where people actually are, what they're doing, and what our goals are for the event. We also, this is just all the different agenda highlights that we have. We think about our content and our programming in a lot of different buckets: the networking, the breakouts, thought leadership, invite-only programming. And it's very purposeful. We really think within our breakouts, what are our audiences, making sure that we have the right number of breakouts for each audience. We really try to make sure we're not getting too heavy in one audience versus the other. What are the different session formats, making sure we're offering a variety of session formats, whether they are interactive community conversations, panels, roadmap presentations, solution sessions that are talking specifically about our product. It's a very purposeful mix to our agenda. And then we're tagging everything so that we can report out to our leadership on how many sessions we're planning for all of the different ways you could cross-segment your agenda. For us, it's by persona, it's by vertical, it's by product, it's by content type. We do that analysis and report on it, and we track and measure results on all of those different configurations. So a lot that goes into the content and agenda planning. I could talk forever about it, but I'm going to kick it back to Rachel to continue talking about our on-site experience.
All right, cool. So I mentioned drinking our own champagne, as we like to say, using Cvent at Cvent, very meta. But let's start with the on-site check. In. So this is our first touch point on site and welcoming you or our attendees on site. this experience we kind of aim to create is just like a very fast, seamless, happy experience. And that's kind of what we aim to do. We work very closely with our professional services team that helps set up our kiosks. It's informational, it's fast, there's no lines. We aim basically every single person that checks in, we aim to have that check-in experience be 60 seconds or less. Fun fact, max check-ins per hour, I think, is around 1,000. So you can do a lot of check-ins per kiosk with using this technology. But for us, some of the things that this is good for is you can also do alerts when people check in. So let's say someone wanted to meet with me, Rachel, I'm checking in. Great. Rachel, pop up on the screen. Hey, did you forget to do this? If you did, just come talk to our other team over here, which I love using those alerts within the system to help remind people, welcome them, make sure they're downloaded the mobile app, for example, things like that. But usually our setup is pretty seamless. We do daily talk tracks to make sure that at any given time in the day, they're reminding people, oh, hey, by the way, meals are this way, or by the way, the keynote's about to start. And then, 2 or 3 other important things that they need to know. For us, our reminders are mostly focused on making sure they have the mobile app, because that was where everything is, making sure that they've signed up for a tech tour, making sure they know where the heck to go is a big one. But then what this also does is give us a good measure for how many people are at the conference at a given time. So we get alerts from our reporting system of, hey, by the way, we've checked in this many people at the timestamp that's happened, so that we have that timestamp moving forward. And then we can staff appropriately for future years where we know our rush periods. One other piece I like are these alerts. So, selfishly, I get alerts for VIPs that are checking in, including our CEO, just to know that he is there and the eagle has landed and I need to go meet him. People will probably appreciate that if they deal with other stakeholders or keynote speakers or VIP or a media person that checks in. Those people all get alerts sent to my phone, which is awesome, because then I can run over there and I look like a superhero because I know that they're there and I'm white glove experiencing the situation. Moving on to attendance tracking. We do a lot of attendance tracking. We do this for kind of 2 reasons. One, for deeper insights for our team, for our product marketing team, for our content teams. And the second reason is we do it for the attendees. The attendees can log back in and see what they've attended. If they've tapped into a session, we do it in a couple different ways. We have, and I'll cover RFID in a second, but we do tap and go, where you just tap your badge to the screen. We also have scanners that we scan people in so that we know that we're going. A couple benefits to this. One, obviously getting the correct attendance for sessions really helps year over year. If we see that only 4 people attended something, we're obviously not going to do that session again. But if we see that there was a wait list for something, or we were at capacity plus over capacity, we know that that was a popular session. We should repeat it. We should send out resources. We should send out the AI summaries to everyone that attended, and maybe even beyond that, in Dara's post communication, send out more information. Hey, if you didn't attend this session, catch it on demand. It was the most popular session at Cvent Connect. So this really helps us. Another way is for sponsors. Like if a sponsor's sponsored an evening event or sponsored a networking session or a meetup, we can scan those folks in, and the sponsor can follow up, or we can have everybody continue the conversation afterwards. A lot of times we have these meetups and people are like, oh my God, I love these people, I want to keep hanging out with them. We can also see who was there and share that out. Cool. So moving on to RFID, this one's one of my personal favorites. And we have in our badge, we have kind of like a tracking chip, but you can kind of see from this floor plan here, we track RFID to help us with attendee patterns. And what I like about this is that for me, when I'm using, a lot of this comes post-event, looking at attendee behavior. So I can see, okay, wow, we only had 300 people here at 8 a.m. at breakfast. Maybe breakfast is a little too early. Maybe people partied too hard the night before. Maybe we switch breakfast to like a 9 a.m. start, which is what we've done for some of our other later days of the conference after you've partied at the welcome party a little bit too late. things like that. But it also helps me with food and beverage and managing budget, because if I saw that last year we only had 1,000 people in breakfast and we guaranteed 2,000 because because people signed up for it in the agenda, I'm going to know my attrition rate is way lower based off of RFID. So it is worth the money for me to have RFID at these major things, especially when it ties into budget. Especially when my CEO is like, how many people came to the opening session? How many people were in the innovation pavilion at the happy hour? How many people were at the one-on-one area? And what were our rush times in one-on-one, so that we can staff appropriately next year? And those are some really cool ways of kind of seeing that. Like this helps if you work for, a product-based company. How many people were interested in this product or stood around this booth? Those are some really cool insights that we've been able to pull from it. It's not, we're not stalking you. We're just making sure that we're designing for you in the future. And we're providing you with things that are beneficial for you, because we're not going to provide those things again if we saw that nobody attended, or we saw that everyone left at 3 p.m. from our conference. Why are we planning all this other stuff after 3 p.m. if people left? So there's just some like really cool insights that I like using. I can talk for days about this, but it really helps to for me budget wise. And then passing it over to Dara on the attendee communication side.
Yeah, so a little bit of what I talked about at the beginning where I mentioned those segments, this is when it really comes into play here. So there's a lot of different things that we do on attendee communication front to drive behavior. We do every day a show daily communication and a feedback daily. So what that means is an email in the morning and then an email at the end of the day, directing people of where to go, the biggest CTAs. I think there's always an important reminder about like the evening event. Here's the sessions that you should attend today. We include all of the quick links for people throughout so that they're able to access things like their Attendee Hub login, the mobile app. We make sure everything is in those show daily emails. One of the most important things that we put in there is the session survey, and we do that. That's why I call it the feedback daily, is because at the end of the day, we're always, our biggest CTA is please give us feedback, because that is such important data that you can then go and use for next year. So that's our main CTA in our show dailies. And then for push notifications, this is where you can get really creative with your segmentation, whether it's a segment that you assign or that your attendees self-select into. You can either recommend them to go to certain sessions. So sometimes we'll ping all of our planners in the audience to go to a specific planner session, or we'll ping all of the exhibitors to do something in the trade show. So we can pick and choose different audiences and send them notifications to their phone. And it really helps to move traffic around the venue and also to influence behavior in different ways that we want to, or to remind people of upcoming programs to make sure they don't leave or remember to attend, especially for virtual too. And then the last thing that we do that is, I think, really cool for some of our attendee communications, and this is kind of bridging that gap between the in-person and virtual experience, is Cvent Connect TV. So in all of our communications, we include our short morning news style segments, which are just really short, 3 to 5 minutes. They talk about what's happening on site. There's interviews with different people that are on site. We address short, quick hit topics. It's just a really fun way to make the virtual audience feel a little bit more included in the in-person experience. And then also we can get those sponsored too. So that's just an additional helpful benefit of these short segments. All right, Rachel, back to you.
Okay, sorry. Hi, I'm here. One-on-one and lead capture. The one of the main goals of Cvent Connect is meeting with everybody. So we offer 4 different types of appointments at Cvent Connect. We have our sales appointments, so our sales team meeting with customers. We have our exhibitor appointments, which are obviously our exhibitors meeting with people sourcing events. And then we have our conference staffing appointments, and then we have peer-to-peer appointments, so like more of the networking type things. All of these are super important. I think the benefits for us is we're using lead capture to scan in people for each of these appointments so that we can capture how many people actually engaged with it. That also feeds into our engagement touch points. Some benefits kind of lead capture are obviously the custom notes field, making sure that, okay, I meet with Dara. Dara wants to do 50 events next year. She's not quite sure what to use. I'm going to put that in my notes of something to follow up with Dara about. And then you can qualify questions based off of that. One thing when we're setting up appointments that's really helpful for our sales leaders or our executive sponsors are putting in internal notes prior to the event. So if I want to tell, somebody that like, I want to tell our CEO that we're meeting with Sarah and she has a dog named Sam, we could put that in internal notes, because obviously you wouldn't put that in the external facing ones, but then it looks like you have, higher touch points there. And it helps the leaders see that, okay, I'm reading up on what their account is and what's happening with it. And I'm informed before I meet with them. And then being able to easily send collateral that people need, like if they want more information on AI, you can put those in the notes, etc. But it's really helpful both as a sales enablement tool, but a sponsor tool as well. I'm going faster because I know we're at almost at time here, but we want to cover everything. I mentioned earlier we have a trade show. We have a pretty big planner to exhibitor ratio at our trade show. And one of the things that we keep in the back of our mind every year is we want to make sure exhibitors and sponsors are happy. So we want to keep that ratio at a good place. One unique thing about the Cvent trade show is it's a turnkey style trade show. If you've been to trade shows like IMAX, you see that most people do custom booths. We do some custom booths, like in the premier booth section of the chart here, but for the most part, it's turnkey style, which really helps the exhibitors just be like, all right, here's my logo and I'm going to show up. We do that because it creates ease. It's easier for us to set up. It's easier for the sponsor to just show up, make appointments and show up. So that's pretty important to us. We obviously use lead capture in here, like I just mentioned, to help. As someone asked in the channel earlier about or in Q&A, like how do you keep your sponsors happy? And one of that is through the trade show portal that we have. People can log in, they can put their information, and then post event they can pull all of their leads. They can follow up with anybody that had an RFP for them. And then moving on to post event here. We do a lot. I'm going to pass it to Julie here with feedback, and then I'll cover post-event stuff.
Yes, and in true event fashion, we are going to speed through the post-event section of this because we all know we all need to move on to the next thing as always, but that doesn't minimize the importance of looking at your post-event feedback. You've heard me, Darren, Rachel, multiple times say, we look at this data and this is why we made this decision. So even though I'm speeding through these next few slides, we really do look at all of the data and use it to make decisions year over year. That starts with just your basic event surveys and your session level surveys, still so important. One little tip I'll throw out there that we do is within the mobile app is making sure all speakers verbally talk about taking the feedback survey. We definitely see a trend in the response rate from speaker saying it on stage to session survey completion in the mobile app. So that's a little piece of tidbit and advice. Rachel talked all about RFID already and all we're tracking on site. We use that data intensely in making decisions. Also with our leads to our sales team, engagement scoring insights, understanding who was interested in what is a key part of our post-event analysis in passing leads back to the sales team in that follow-up. And of course, our planning for next year, something I could do an entire webinar on in the engagement, programming, scoring, very complex. I think we probably do have a webinar coming up on that. So if you're really interested in that, we can make sure you get invited to that one. Extending your event content. Your event content should not live in a vacuum. Make sure you are making it available on demand, leveraging Cvent events, and back all the way to the beginning, connecting it with your demand gen team and using your event content and other marketing campaigns throughout the entire year. And skipping through here, and I know there were some questions on post-event and how we analyze with our team's post-event. So I am going to kick it back to Rachel to spend 30 seconds on event post-con debrief, especially since that was asked as a question.
Yeah, cool. So I think there's two big things. There's the internal meetings that we have that go through what do we do well, what can we do better next year. We do a ton of programming specific or team post-con meetings. And then we wrap it all up into one post-event analysis. So there's the internal stuff and then there's the external stuff. We look deeply into two things: the attendee feedback and then the ROI of the event. What is the business impact that we made? Like how much business do we influence based off of this program? Again, I could do a whole podcast on this because ROI is such a big piece of what we do here at Cvent. But the post-con meetings all kind of ride into that. So it's part data and then part in feedback from each of the programming areas that we roll up into a couple different decks. We have one post-event box folder where we keep all the final stats, all the business impacts, all of the comments and feedback from internal stakeholders and external attendees, and then suggestions for what we should do next year. And then, like I mentioned, we use RFID and data to make some of those decisions the next year. And then Dara and team put together great post-event resources for both internal and external. So they put together, pictures that attendees can use to post. They put together, here are suggested social shares for our internal people. There's a lot of sales collateral that gets sent out afterwards. There's a lot of follow-up because a lot of people ask a lot of questions at Connect, and we need to follow up with them and get them everything that they scanned into lead capture. And then there's a budget versus actual piece for me, which is what did we spend, what did we make on the event, and rolling that up to finance. So there's a lot of stuff that happens post-event, and I'm sorry that we have to go through this so quickly, but because it is, I think, one of the most important pieces of the event is getting that correct. Getting the follow-up right is super important to your event. And one last thing is for all the people that signed up or checked into a session, some of them may be wanting CMP credits, or they want credits for their job, or they need to document it somewhere. We also send that out too. So a lot of fun stuff coming, and we do a lot for that. I think the question for demonstrating ROI for stakeholders, we have a dashboard that goes into this. We use a multi-touch attribution model here at Cvent. So we look at all of the engagement points that were scored based off of the attendee's journey. We also look at other events that they've attended or other things that they've interacted with, like attending a webinar, for example, and then giving it a score. But we're going to skip to Q&A. Please let us know if there's any other things that we didn't answer. I apologize that we went over a little bit today. Obviously, we're very excited about Cvent Connect. So shameless plug, please register and come hang out with us. We would love to see you.
All right. Yes. And so if you can hang on, I have a couple questions. I know we were trying to answer most questions as we went. One that we did not get to. Do we find it helpful to have marketing resources in each of the stakeholder teams? Does it help everyone in speaking the same language? I think yes. I think we are so interwoven within our marketing team that there are very few places that, Rachel, I think your team is in a silo without somebody else from the larger marketing organization.
I will caveat this though, that not every company is an event tech company. Our company is very focused on events. And I would say if you're struggling with getting stakeholders, I think if you can demonstrate the impact and the needs that you have and why buy-in is helpful, or why having a stakeholder from each department involved is important, I think that you can get people assigned to it. But that would be my advice, is to bring that impact and showcase why it's important, and then get somebody to volunteer from each department to help.
Awesome. And I think the last question that we didn't get to throughout the conversation was, what activities or experiences have you used to help support networking amongst attendees?
You want me to take that one?
You want to take that? I can chime in too.
We do a ton of different types of meetups. We're adding even more vertical meetups, like Julie mentioned. People don't need an excuse to meet up with each other. They show up to those. So I don't feel like we have a really hard hill to climb there, getting people to come to meetups. The other networking we've tried to do is peer-to-peer stuff, making sure people connect after certain sessions, making sure the conversation continues. I think the other activities would be an action item that happens at the networking event, or some sort of giveaway, or some sort of sponsor sponsors that, so it makes it more interactive, or an activation as part of the meetup, so people are like, oh my god, I went to this cool meetup and they had this activation, it was wild. Then people are less likely to miss that meetup, or less likely to not network.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I want to add to this is that we've actually added a pre-event meetup to our Connect programming so that people can connect with each other before they attend on site. So I think that's a really awesome thing that you could add if you have that attendee hub experience, is making sure that people can have a place to meet other folks before they come on site and just feel a little bit more included and supported before they get on site and have a little group to go with.
Yeah, good call out.
And the last thing I'll add, can tell we all love networking and interacting with our attendees, is creating your content purposely that even when people are in sessions, it allows for that networking. So I mentioned this, that we have some of our breakout sessions that are purpose-built networking sessions. The content is designed in a way that it's not just delivery the entire time, that we're encouraging conversation in the room. There are times for pauses for table conversation. We're using the Attendee Hub app to take questions from the audience and really make sure that we have that engagement, or even having purposeful continue the conversation meetups or podcasts with a speaker. So there's a lot of ways that you can just build conversation into your content, as opposed to having it have to live outside or be additional programming. All right. With that, if for anybody who stuck with us for 10 extra minutes, deeply appreciate it. We hope you all enjoyed everything that we had to say. Please do connect with us on LinkedIn if you have any more conversations. Before you sign off and click out of this window, if you could take that post-event survey. We've talked a lot about taking feedback. We love it. Please give it to us. We do action on it. And don't forget to go sign up today for Cvent Connect. We hope to see you in San Antonio on LinkedIn or on another Cvent webinar in the near future. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.
Thanks, friends.
Thank you. Bye.